Hello everyone. Let's get into season 2. So firstly, let's set the expectations that rebuilding is in extreme mode. You're going to be rebuilding for a lot longer than you are in easy and also challenging. Ticket prices set to the middle price to keep the fans happy. The last thing you need is the fans and the owner getting unhappy at the moment, because they're going to get more and more unhappy for the next few seasons until we start to improve. But that's going to take some work. Also, you never want to get any gear until you start getting good either, because that's just a waste of money. And then to try and give you guys more sort of info on what I think of, the first thing you need is a good scout. That's the first thing you need before coaches, before good players, before top draft picks. The scout is your number one need, because that will then let you see better coaches, better other members of staff like your doctors, etc., and better players, which is the most important thing. Knowing how good draft players are and their scheme fits, etc., and their potential is the most important thing in the game, and therefore scouting is the most important thing in the game. So after checking out the scouts, it's between Bell and Cohen, but whilst Bell has got slightly better market knowledge and judgment, Cohen's intelligence is 99, and for me that wins, because intelligence actually adds to the overalls of your scouts and coaches a little bit. Say if you've got a scout with market knowledge and player judgment both at 70 and their intelligence is say 99, their overall will probably be 70. But if that same guy had intelligence at 60, the overall will probably be like a 66 or a 67, which therefore would affect your overall scouting knowledge percentage. So intelligence is important in every member of staff and every coach. So now we've picked our scout, we're going to sign him, but this scout isn't good enough long term, so we're only going to take him for a year. And as you could see there, his total worth at 1 year was 9.65 million. But if you lower the salary to the minimum and then up the bonus until the outcome says accepted, then you can get him a much cheaper price. And you should do this for all staff and all coaches. If you sign them for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years, whatever, always lower the salary to the minimum and then up the bonus until they hit accepted, and you'll get them so much cheaper. And as I said, this scout's only sticking around for a year because he's not good enough. Hopefully next season we can sign a scout that will actually stick with us for the long haul. And the other guy who is expiring is my DC, and I let him go to free agency because I knew I'd be able to just re-sign him again, and he's the best option. So again, I'll bring him back for just 1 year. I'll do this with every member of staff and every coach. I'll just give them 1 year extension until I can find a better one the following season. Just wanted to throw out some advice on free agency. It's worth looking at, but almost never worth signing anyone, especially someone like this QB. 62 million a year is just ridiculous. Avoid anything like that, and only ever sign a free agent if you're on a winning season and you have the cap space. Otherwise there's just no point. So as mentioned last season, let's have a look at Ravens pick, which I traded with them, my number one for their next 2 number ones, and it turns out 15,000. So I think that was worth about 11,000 when we made the trade, and my pick was worth 21,000 and now it's worth 28,000. So looks like it's worth holding out to the end of the season, unless a really bad team has a really good record, then its value is worth trading. So in the first few seasons, I'm still looking for quite a few late round picks, because in your achievements, once you've made 50 draft picks and then 200 draft picks, your negotiations get a nice bump. After 50 it's +2, and after 200 it's +3 to negotiations, which all helps to get in cheaper contracts. So now I'm trying to check the teams with the lowest draft pick in the first round that have a bad overall, so that they might have a higher pick next year, so that I can trade for those picks. I'm going to try and see if I can pick up a couple more first rounders, and looking at this Jets team, they're 21st overall, but they've got a fairly low draft pick, so I can probably give them my first rounder. I got Baltimore, and likely be a second rounder, and I'll get their next 3 draft picks, including this season's, in the first round. And then I can also, as you can see, I'll be able to squeeze in some late round picks to help with that negotiation achievement. So a nice trade with the Jets there, and then I went on to trade with the Bengals, and I picked up a load of late round picks there for a guy that I didn't need, because even my newly drafted players don't mean anything at the moment. I'm just signing players for value to trade my way for more picks to eventually build a better team. And then I did another pick with the Titans to get some more late run picks, just to keep helping with that achievement. And then once I've hit 200 drafted players, I'll stop trading for late round picks and just try and obviously get the early picks to build the team. Right, now on to my favourite bit, and that's the draft. Well, actually, most things I do in this game are my favourite bit. I absolutely love this game, so the draft's just another fun part of it. I always go to market and go to players college, and then I just start shortlisting some players that I like. I usually search by scheme fit, and so at the minute my defence is zone coverage, and my offence is smash mouth, and my special teams conservative. So I'd usually shortlist those guys first, or anyone that's good in those scheme fits anyway. I wouldn't bother shortlisting 1 2 star players, maybe 3 star players if they're like a B or a C plus, because they could be worth a late pick and still be okay overalls. Otherwise I'll then shortlist players who are just good, like sort of first round players basically, or some good B plus players, because they could still be in the late 70s. And then once I'm happy with that, I move on to the draft and start making my picks. Now we got to make our first pick, which is pick number 18. And I tend to deliberate on the first few picks, or at least sort of round 1 and round 2. Well, I guess throughout the whole draft I just try and take best player available. If I can't get my scheme fit, which at the minute a scheme fit isn't even on the top of the page where I'm looking, so I'll just try and get the best player available, and I'll look at the fact they're all B plus, so they're all pretty similar, and then I just try and look at their stats. Right, this cornerback's got 3 Bs, 2 Cs, that's pretty good. Other positions, C pluses, D pluses, and other guys got Bs and Cs. So eventually I think the cornerback's the best bet. And 78 overall, not a bad first pick at 18. And then I do a similar process for the rest of the draft. Yeah, it's always scheme fit first if I can. But if there's no one good enough, say if the next scheme fit's a C plus and his stats are like Ds and Es, but there's a non-scheme fit who is a B or a B minus, sorry, not B minus, just B, and their stats are Cs, I'm going to take that player over the scheme fit, because there's not a big difference there until you really improve your coaches, and then the scheme fits are like plus 6 or 7. At the minute my scheme fits are plus 2 or 3, and also they're not going to be my coaches for the long term. As soon as I can, I'll get rid of them, and then my scheme will be completely different. I mean, it could be the same, but it's unlikely. It depends what 5-star coach comes up who I can bring in. But yeah, I'm finding some quite nice picks late in the draft who are still in the 70s. So the draft's going pretty good for the fact that I'm drafting players who are going to be decent value, where I'll be able to trade away in a season or two's time for more, hopefully earlier picks, and then improve the team that way. Overall, another half decent draft. Players all above 70 overall in the first 3 rounds, and plenty of depth. Good. So draft complete, and I've had to sign a couple of low overall free agents just to fill some backup positions, and now it's a final check of the roster, and I've got to move some guys around from different positions where, say, I might have 3 OLBs benched and no DTs, so I'll just move a guy over just so I don't have to sign any more players, and therefore you've always got to have at least one bench player in each position. So however many starters you've always got to have one more player to fill the bench. So now let's get the season underway. First game up against the Chiefs, and close loss. Bates again, performing fairly well in the yardage department, but I think it could be a similar season for him, where he gets good yards and then an equal TD interception ratio, a bit of a Jameis Winston really. So maybe I need to get him some eye surgery next season, and who knows, he could become a superstar then. Although the more likely story is that once Bates gets to maybe next off season, we might trade him, or we might keep him one more season after that. Not too sure yet. We've got another guy behind him who's only one overall less, so he can easily step in and be the starter if we want to trade Bates when he's still got, say, 2 years left in his contract, so his value is a little bit higher, because players always have a higher value with more years left. So say you've got a rookie, his highest value would be when he's still got 4 years left in his contract, then it will gradually go down when he's only got 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, etc. And in the final year, that'll be their lowest value. So in the early days, it's worth trading them away whenever you want, maybe even when they've still got 3 or 4 years left, because the dead cap isn't that bad, and you should have tons of cap space because you're not trying to win, so you want to try and keep your cap space as small as possible. But as you improve, which I hope to at some point, but it is extreme, so it's definitely going to take me a few seasons. Once you get to that point and your salary cap starts becoming a bit tight, you then don't really want to trade players away until they've got 1 year left, possibly 2 years. But that depends on their dead cap hit, so you have to judge it from there really. So yeah, in the early game, you really want to sign players just so you can trade them away in the next few seasons. I'm hoping by about season 5 or 6 maybe we can start drafting players who we actually care about and then whose careers we want to follow. Anyway, into the playoffs now. All the top seeds apart from the Rams picking up a win there. The Chargers, they fall out. Good to see the divisional rivals lose. Don't want to see them picking up too many victories. Giants in the Super Bowl again, and they win it again. 2 years running. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Salvador Little, the guy that we won't be keeping around more than a couple of seasons, but nice to have drafted a Offensive Rookie of the Year already. That'll give us some TP, and that'll give us a little GM achievement as well. So I believe that's management. We'll get a plus to management for that one. And Neil, the veteran, picking up Defensive Player of the Year. That is also good to see. So yeah, I mean, second season, losing season again, but we picked up our first win, which was quite nice. Half decent draft again, and see what happens next season.